G'day everyone, welcome to the Eternal Gathering here for another podcast. We're going to be talking today about the new Ikoria set. The new spoilers came out, and obviously the set is out on Arena and will be coming May 15th to most countries except for Japan and China and all those kind of countries in Asia. So what I want to go through today is just kind of go through some cards that I want to talk about. Probably most, if not all, the mythics and a few of the rares and notable uncommons. So obviously, just first thoughts on Ikoria. I think it's quite a strong set. I think they're still trying to push the envelope when it comes to these new sets. I think Mutate is an interesting mechanic. I'm not too sure how well it'll go in formats that are constructed, but I've been playing a bit of Arena on the limited, and it's been pretty fun so far. I guess we'll have to find out and see what happens in the next few months in terms of how this will affect different formats. I'm not really interested in standard. Of course, there's going to be some cards in standard that it will see play, especially a lot of people talking about Snapdax seeing some play, and Luna also seeing play. I think Brokos is another strong contender. Being able to come back from the graveyard repeatedly is also a really nice mechanic there to be able to use. Ability to become from the graveyard. It's very strong. But I'm thinking more in terms of Pioneer and Modern. Obviously, Commander, most of these cards are great in Commander if you can get them out. But I'm thinking more about Pioneer and Modern. So we've got Snapdax here, Apex of the Hunt. It's pretty well costed, a 4 mana for 3/4 double strike. And then when it mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain 4 life. So pretty strong ability there. Mutate cost is 1 extra, so 5 mana. I don't think this will see any play in Modern. Pioneer, I would say it's very unlikely to have seen any play in Pioneer. So we've got a card that probably will see a lot of standard play, but not much in terms of Modern and Pioneer. Luna, Apex of Wishes, Flying Trample. When this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library to exile non-land card, permanent card, and put that card to battlefield. Really strong mutate cost, but cost is 3, 4, 5, 6, which is also 1 more than its usual cost. But it is well costed, 5 mana for 6/6 Flying Trample. It's very strong in terms of the stats that it has. I don't think it will also see any play in Pioneer or Modern. Nethroi, Apex of Death, is 2, 3, 4, 5 for a 5/5 Death Touch lifelink. And when this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from graveyard to battlefield. Really strong mutate ability, but the mutate cost is 4, 5, 6, 7. Another card I mean, they're all very well, I guess, stat-wise in terms of their mana cost, but another card I don't think will see much play in Pioneer or Modern, unless you can find a way to cheat it out really quickly and then get some mutating onto it in the early game. Some graveyard shenanigans possibly, but I don't think that's possible in Pioneer, and in Modern I think you can be doing other things that are stronger than Nethroi. Then we got Vadrock, Apex of Thunder, which is 3 mana, 3/3, so it's the cheapest one out of all of them. Flying first strike, so it's really good stats again. And when this creature mutates, you may cast a target non-creature card with mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. I think this is probably the strongest card in terms of being able to play this in a Pioneer or a Modern format. I think 4 mana to mutate is a good cost. I think this is probably your best chance at seeing play in those formats. I think this is probably going to have a higher price point if people can see the power behind this. Being able to play something that's 3 or less from your graveyard paying mana cost, especially in formats like Modern and probably Pioneer, where 3 is probably one of the higher spells that you will be playing, non-creature spells. Also being able to get any non-creature spell is you can also get Planeswalkers back, so it's actually got a really good ability to be able to bring some Planeswalkers, like, you got Teferi, Liliana in Modern, and the Liliana Last Hope in Pioneer as well. There's definitely some strong cards that you could get. Obviously you wouldn't be playing this at just Jeskai Shell. You probably want to bring this in from the sideboard, I would imagine, and bring that in if they got some more creatures and you want to fight those creatures. It's a first strike flying 3/3, so it's a really relatively aggressively kind of costed there and will work well in those scenarios. Then Broko's Apex of Forever. Broko's may be broken because for the same amount of mana to bring it out from the graveyard as it is to bring it out from your hand. So it's a 6/6 trample, and just being able to have a recurring threat, especially in these Sultai mid-range decks in Pioneers, where I think this card could see play. Maybe not so much in Modern. Again, for 5 mana is a bit much in Modern, but in Pioneer definitely something that can be playable. Then we go for the ultimatums, which all seem very, very strong in their own right. But Ruinous Ultimatum's definitely the strongest for Commander. I don't think you'll see any play in Modern, unless you can cheat it out somehow by playing it from your hand. Same with all of these cards, I guess, for Modern. Pioneer, same kind of thing. You might be able to get to that 7 mana mark, but the cost of these, the color cost of these, make them very difficult to play. But I definitely like Ruinous Ultimatum. Eerie Ultimatum is also another great one to play. Emergent Ultimatum, also definitely good. Then Inspired Ultimatum and Genesis Ultimatum are probably the weaker of the 5 ultimatums. The Mythos, I don't think we'll see much play. Mythos of Nethroi maybe, but apart from that, I don't see anything else seeing any play. Then we go down to Luminous Broodmoth. Definitely, I think, probably one of the best cards in the set. If you can play this, especially there's a few combos now with Solemnity. A lot of people buying up Solemnity, speculating that might work well in a combo, especially with Croxar, the Titan from Theros. You can have like an infinite loop basically, being able to play Croxar while Luminous Broodmoth and Solemnity's on the battlefield will let you bring it back over and over and over and over again, making your opponent discard their whole hand and then deal 3 damage until they lose. So it's an infinite combo there. It will take some time to set up, but something that could definitely see some play in Pioneer. And Modern as well, you might see some kind of shells that might try and do that. So Luminous Broodmoth is definitely a card that will hold some value if those kind of combos are able to see some play. Sea Dasher Octopus has seen a lot of chatter on Reddit about this. Being able to deal combat damage to a player and then drawing a card is pretty good, especially on a creature that flashes for a mutate cost of 2. So in early game you can put this on and deal in 2 or more damage and then draw a card, getting some value there. So yeah, that's pretty cool, but I think the mostly we'll see play in Standard. I don't see much play in Modern. Maybe in Pioneer if you can get like a Simic or Dimir, Sultai kind of flash deck working in Pioneer, then this might see play there. But otherwise, I don't see much more play outside of Pioneer and Standard. Dogebat, nothing really there, not really great. We go to the Planeswalkers, we've got Luca and Vivian. Luca, very interesting card, being able to exile the top 3 cards of your library. Then creature cards may be played as long as you control a Luca Planeswalker. So some card advantage there. -2 to be able to exile target creature you control, then reveal cards from the top of your library. To reveal a creature card with high command mana cost, put the card into the battlefield and the rest of the bottom of your library. So you can cheat out something really strong with his second ability, but it is a lot of work around, I think, being able to find a creature in the first place to be able to play. So hopefully you can play maybe like a token creature or something like that in the early game, or just have token creatures or cards that generate token creatures, and then have your big Emrakul type card in your library, and hopefully once you be able to play this for 5, or if you can get it down for 4 if you're playing Gruul, turn 4, sorry, then you can do -2 and get something really big on the battlefield. So that could see play in Pioneer and Modern. It just depends on what kind of shells will be able to play that, if that is successful. You're not going to get any cast triggers, but you will get ETB triggers, which you could try and figure out what the best ETB triggers are for a particular format, then that will be helpful. Then we go to Vivian, Monsters Advocate. Be able to look at top of your card library and cast any creature spells is a card advantage in itself. I like the +1 ability here, the +1 to create a 3/3 green beast token with Vigilance, Reach, or Trample, giving you some flexibility there, and it's a good body to have on the battlefield. If you don't already have something down to just protect Vivian. The -2 is actually really interesting. Whenever you cast the next creature spell this turn, search library for a creature card with lower command mana cost and put it into battlefield. If you can try and find some combos, that can also be very interesting. So, like for example, if you were to play this in Modern and play it in the Vizier combo, you're trying to find, I don't know, Vizier or of Remedies, and you have a Kitchen Finks in your hand or something that's 3 mana, you can play that, and then straight away you'll be able to find your Vizier. And it's whenever you cast, so you don't have, if you cast your first spell and counter it, that's fine, you will still get the trigger and be able to find that extra creature. So it will be give you some value, I guess, in that regard. Club Warden, I don't think we'll see much play at all. Shark Typhoon, this is a card that people have been talking about, especially for Standard and Pioneer. There's been a lot of talk, being able to cycle this for 3 mana to draw a card and put a 1/1 flying creature into play. It is interesting. 6 mana to play the actual enchantment. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with fly with XX spells command mana cost. I don't think it's really that good, because you're paying 6 mana for an enchantment that does nothing. Yes, you can cycle this away at any time throughout the game, but I mean, there's probably other things that you could probably play that are going to be more impactful than a draw a card uncounterable flying creature. Yeah, I guess obviously Teferi Time Raveler is in a format, and that's what people are talking about, being able to play around that, because cycling is actually a special ability, so it doesn't go on a stack or anything like that. So you're able to play this at instant speed without Teferi's ability being able to affect it. But I just don't see it really seeing that much play, in my opinion. I might be wrong. Extinction Event, probably one of the worst, if not the worst rare you can probably get in this set. Evercall Phoenix, really interesting, being able to bring it back when it mutates any Phoenix. Could be interesting in Commander. Don't think I see much play other than Standard in Commander. Classification, another rare that you don't really want to get, one of the worst rares in the format. Draenei Magistrate, interesting sideboard card possibly, but I'm not too sure if you want to run a slot in Modern or Pioneer for this. There's not much that is coming out from not your opponent's hands, so especially in Pioneer and Standard. But in Modern, yes, there might be some that will. But again, are you going to give a whole slot just for that? What decks is it going to actually hate on is another question altogether, and I don't think it will see much play. It'd be good in Commander, obviously, being able to stop people from playing their Commanders altogether. Possibly a card that might get banned in Commander if it's just too oppressive in that format. Voracious Great Shot is actually a really good card, I think. It's a bit of a sleeper, possibly. 5/4 for 5 is very, very well in terms of its stats for its commander cost, and it has a flash. And then coming in, countering target artifact or creature spell. I can see this being played in Pioneer, definitely, in a sideboard of control decks, especially if they want to play a very creature-heavy deck. They are able to counter a creature spell and bring a threat onto the battlefield. So I think this could see some Pioneer play. Definitely a standard. It'll see a lot of play. Modern, not so much. Don't think this will see play in Modern. It's too much mana, really, to be able to do all that. Hunter Nightmare, another one of the worst rares that you can get in a set. I'm not going to talk about it. Unpredictable Cyclone, a really good payoff for cycling. If you can play it, probably standard. I'm not too sure about Pioneer. 5 mana is still able to be played, I guess, in Pioneer. So basically, cycling ability of an unknown land card will cause you to draw a card. Instead, exile cards from top of your library until you exile a card that shares a card type with it, and then you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So if you can put like creatures in your deck that have cycling, maybe like, I don't know, try and put 6 cycling creature cards in your deck, then you'll be able to try and hit a creature like an Emrakul or something like that has a really good cast trigger from your cycling creature, and then try and win again from there. But again, it's very difficult to do and needs a lot of setting up, a little bit of luck. I think it's a card that won't see much play. Gem Razor, if you can put it down for its mutate cost, it's relatively above curve. It's already pretty much above curve for its 4 mana for a reach travel 4/4, and then being able to destroy target artifact or enchantment opponent controls when you mutate it is pretty good. But again, I don't think I see much play apart from standard. Lava Brick Venturer, pretty interesting card, being able to get protection from odd or even. If you can get like Panharmonicon on this and get double triggers, that means you've got protection from everything. I think many people have spoken about that, but you can get protection from odd and from even. That would be really cool, making it basically a 3/3 unblockable hexproof protection from everything. So that's a really cool, interesting concept. Might see some play in standard, maybe Pioneer as well, if you can try and find ways to get through. I mean, odd, even. There's money. That gives away 50% of your opponent's deck, so it's pretty good to be able to blank 50% of your opponent's cards in that respect. Yidaro, I don't think we'll see any play. It's more of a card that's a bit more gimmicky. Unless there's a way you can cycle it, bring it back to your hand, cycle it, bring it back to your hand. I don't see it seeing any play really. Kogla, another really well casted card, but 6 mana, 3 green. You have to be really heavy into green. I don't think any deck will really be playing that. In terms of other cards, let's go through. There are a couple of cards that I do want to talk about that are uncommon. I really like the whole cycle a card and put a key counter, a keyword counter on a creature. For example, the other one I saw here is like Splendmore Mare. When you cycle it, you can put a lifelink counter on a target creature. There's a couple of other ones like Trample and Death Touch and all that kind of stuff. They're pretty cool. But as we go through, there's not much in the commons section that I'm interested in. It's more the uncommons. I think the multicolored cards. Another set, the Ancient Way, other Planeswalker, Jeskai control deck. Definitely, I could see this being played in it. Getting some life, being able to spend some mana for non-creature spells, which you're going to be playing most of the time in a Jeskai control kind of deck in Modern or Pioneer, even Standard. The -2 is really strong. Drawing a card, then you may discard a card. You don't have to discard the card. And if you do discard a non-land card, it does damage equal to that card's command mana cost to target creature or planeswalker. So it's removal there. So protect itself in a way. Then -6 is basically you can win the game in the decks and the shells that it plays in. Then we've got General Kudra of Dreneth. 3 mana for 3/3. Other humans get +1/+1/+1. Really good for commander. Sacrifice 2 humans, destroy target creature with power 2/4 greater and 2 mana. And then be able to exile target card from opponent's graveyard. Definitely can see standard play and commander. I don't think you'll see any play in Pioneer. Is there a chance that this might see play in humans decks? Possibly. I mean, I could see this seeing playing humans deck in Modern, and that might be interesting kind of a sideboard card if you're versing someone that has, I guess, either graveyard shenanigans or another way to kind of get rid of creatures that are really strong and overpowering you, like the Tron decks, I guess. So definitely a card that could see some sideboard play, I think, in Modern. Riel, the Everwise, +1/+0 for each instant sorcery card in your graveyard. Maybe you discard one or more cards for the first time each turn, draw that many cards. So it's a card that can definitely see some play in Standard and Modern if you be able to play in the right shells. So then we got Kinan, Bonda, Prodigy, 2 mana for a 2/2, and whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type to that mana, permanent, sorry, can produce. Definitely a card that can be abused, especially in ramp decks. Already I can see decks such as like Titan Shift seen play in Titan Shift. You can probably start playing some more kind of rampy spells, some more of the Llanowar Elves and stuff like that to ramp out your Primeval Titan. Probably other things that you can do. There might be some new, I guess, archetypes with this in terms of being able to bring out really big things. And then having the ability 5, 6, 7 mana to top 5 cards to your library, put a non-human creature card from onto the battlefield. Another really strong kind of ability, especially if you have a lot of ETB triggers in the deck. So definitely one of the more expensive cards in the whole set, I would imagine. It will definitely see play in possibly Pioneer as well, especially with Uro. You can just put a lot of lands out, just ramp really strong, really fast. Winota, Joiner of Forces. Whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, load the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Tapped and attacking, it gains indestructible until end of turn. Put the rest of the cards in the bottom of the library in random order. 4 mana for a 4/4. I don't think it's seen much play in older formats. It has too many things that you have to kind of tick off. Number 1, having a non-human creature to attack, and then finding a human creature to put into the battlefield. There's not many humans that you could probably find that have abusable kind of attack triggers or ETB triggers. So not a card highly thought of really for me in terms of its power and ability. Cheval, Bane of Monsters, 2 mana for a 1/3 Death Touch, and then putting a bounty counter on a creature your opponent controls, and when that creature dies, draw a card. Interesting concept, might see some play, especially if you can play it in a Pioneer, I'm thinking more shell, where you got the green-black shell, which plays a lot of spells that destroy creatures. So you can have a bit more card advantage there. So yeah, it could see some play you have to wait and see. Then we've got these enchantments. We've got Song Creation, which everyone's been talking about. Another card that I think you can play in those rampy decks in Modern and Pioneer. And then really just drawing 2 cards each time you cast a spell. It's really, really abusable in that respect. Then you got Titan's Nest, also an abusable card, giving all your spells Delve, but obviously you can't be playing this on colorless or X mana spells. What would have thought another card, non-creature spell, you draw a card whenever you cast a non-creature spell. Really interesting. If you mentioned you could play Whirlwind of Thought and Soul Creation in the same deck, you get a lot of card advantage there. Death's Oasis, I don't think we'll see much play, and neither will Offspring's Revenge. Going through the other rares, Skycat Sovereign, I don't think we'll see much play. Silver Wisp, interesting card again in those flash decks, especially in Standard and Pioneer. You could probably see this coming in, being able to draw a card whenever you cast another spell with flash. A lot of card advantage there, and also getting to incidentally make your opponent lose life can be very valuable. It could probably start to make a modern archetype with flash, especially late on of anticipation. Being in a format, you can kind of play that and give everything flash, and then therefore you've got a deck already there that you're just playing really counteractive to everything your opponent does. Lair of Behemoths, really interesting card, 2/2 Menace, and then whenever a creature control with Menace becomes block, they have to sacrifice one of the creatures blocking it. So really interesting kind of ability there. Then being able to pump all your Menace creatures by +1 attack. Another interesting concept. I like this card a lot, but I don't think it will see much play because there's not a lot of support you can play with it at the moment. Or ones that I can think of, there might be something and it might bring up a whole new archetype, but at the moment I don't see that happening. Quartz Wood Crusher, trample, whenever one or more creatures you control with trample do a combination damage to a player, create an XX green dinosaur base creature token with trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player. Really interesting card, great for limited, maybe standard, but no other formats. Frontland Felidar, I don't think we'll see any play at all. Then we go to some of the other cards that I think are interesting, especially card like Sprite Dragon, Flying Haste. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets a counter, +1/+1 counter. Very strong ability there. Parcel Beast, the mutate cost of a 2 mana, get a 2/4, and then being able to look top card of your library and basically draw a card or place a land from there onto the battlefield. Gives you good card advantage there as well. So another card that could see play in older formats, both of these, Modern and Pioneer definitely. Dire Tactics, another really interesting card to be able to exile target creature, especially in like Modern. If you're playing there's a lot of humans around. It's another kind of path to exile, costs 2 mana, so it's pretty good in that respect, and could see some play maybe as a 1 or 2 off in Modern and Pioneer definitely. Then we've got Fiend Artisan, which is probably the best card in the whole set. A 2 mana 1/1, and it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. So you can possibly play this out at turn 2 and get a a 4/4 or higher on the battlefield, and then having its ability to pay X and a black or green to sacrifice any other creature, essentially for a creature card, commander costs X or less and put it in the battlefield. Even though it's sorcery speed, it's still a really strong ability, and I think can definitely see play in those dredge kind of decks. You can play this in a dredge deck, being able to bring it into play from your hand. If you dredge it away, that's fine. There's no biggie. But the upside of it being able to play it from your hand if you got it in your opening hand. Putting a 2 mana, you know, it could be easily a 10/10 in that format with that deck. Companion, I think Companion, a lot of people say very strong, other people saying not at all. I'm in not at all boot camp. You got Lurus, which people were saying is one of the more competitive cards. Each opponent card in your design deck has to have a commander cost 2 or less. Yeah, that's feasible in a modern, but there's not much you can really do in modern in terms of having that ability just so you can play one out of your graveyard. I don't think that's something you want to be playing. Literally, no thank you. Umori, no thank you. Zerda, having abilities, activate abilities, the Armon abilities cost 2 less to activate, but can't make it less than 1. Yeah, maybe it could see some play, but I don't think there's anything that really wants to do that anyways in those formats. Karuga, again, not something you want to play as your companion. Yorion, again, not much you want to do unless you've got a lot of ETB triggers. Ruda, kind of mill decks can play it. 6 mana though, it's quite a big cost, especially in the older formats, so I don't think it's the play. Obosh, again, 5 mana. Jegantha, 5 mana. If you can get him out quickly, yeah, this might be worthwhile, but then again, it's very easy to kill it. Very killable in the older formats. Kira, really cool for commander, but not much else. And then we go to the card that I do actually want to speak about. This Cunning Nightbonder, I think is a very good card. 2 mana for a 2/2 flash. Spells with flash you cast got 1 less to cast and can't be counted. That is the main thing here. If you can play a Leyline of Anticipation, then play this guy and have it stay on the board. After that, you can pretty much win the game if you can keep this alive. Just everything can't be counted, so as soon as you play something, they can't respond to it. If you can have some kind of deck that just basically plays reactive kind of magic against your opponent, I think that's going to be a very strong card. This could see a lot of play in the older formats. Modern Pioneer, definitely I could see this spring up a new archetype, and as well like Slither Wisp. Those two cards together, they're very strong, bringing that kind of reactive approach as an archetype to the format. I think these guys together are really good combo, especially with Leyline Anticipation. If you can play that for free in your starting hand, I can definitely see that happening. And then finally we go colorless kind of cards. Ozolith, really interesting card, 1 mana. So if you can find ways to abuse it, I guess that would be really interesting to see if that can happen, because then that would be very strong. But Artifact for 1 mana that does quite a lot. If you can set it up, could see some play in the older formats. If that's something that those formats and those decks that want to play that. At the moment, there's nothing there that you can, or I can think of, that would want to play the Ozolith. Then we go to the cycle lands, the tricycle lands, or tricycle lands. I see this same play in modern. I think the ability to have, 3 different land types, really interesting, especially like if you do it on turn 1, play it tapped in turn 1, especially if you're on the play, it's very strong. I think people are underestimating the abilities to be able to fetch this and play it in, especially if your opponent's not doing anything in the early game. I wouldn't be playing a whole full playset. I'd be playing a 1 or 2 of at most, or probably 1 or 2 of these different ones in a deck to be able to have a really aggressive land and mana base. Sorry. Yeah, definitely something to play. Pioneer, like tap land is not the end of the world for you. So I could definitely see this playing in Pioneer. Standard, it'll be seen playing for days and days and days. So I would say these cards would be about $5 minimum. Once they're settled dusts, I think you'd be looking at $5 minimum for one of these cards. Very, very strong cards. I think people underestimate the ability to have 3 different land types on one card. You can just basically search it with anything in the format, especially ones that can get any forests. So you got 1, 2, 3 cards that you can get with forest, like fast seek and all those kind of cards. Unbelievable to be able to get that land base. Of course, it's not going to be great every single time, but I think there's enough upside that you would want to play 1 or 2 of in your deck. And that's basically it. Abundance Enclave, interesting card, Commander. So that's kind of like a run through of my thoughts on the set. I think that Ikoria itself is really interesting. I like the fact that they're still trying to push the cards in a different direction, trying to make them strong, bringing in tricycle lands, mutate's an interesting mechanic. Unfortunately, I don't think it will see play outside of standard, just because putting everything onto one creature, unless it's got hexproof or indestructible, then you're really just asking for a kind of bad turn there of events, especially if you have 3 cards stacked up in a mutate and then just kill it and do a 3-for-1. That will feel really bad. But definitely some cards here that I think can definitely see play in the older formats and could even spark some new archetypes. I'm really interested to see if there's any kind of flash decks happening in Modern or Pioneer coming from this set with those 2 cards that I was talking about earlier. They could just definitely breathe a new archetype, new decks into those formats. Finally, I kind of want to talk about the Godzilla, I guess, cards of Ikoria. For people that don't know what I'm talking about, I will try and find this for you. Extra promo, there we go. So these are like the cards of box toppers that you'll be getting. I think it's a really interesting inclusion. So you get the buy box promo Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which is an interesting card in itself, especially for Commander. But yeah, these full art cards are really cool kind of concept. I personally don't like the Godzilla flavor. I would prefer if, like I spoke about earlier in my other podcasts, if you haven't heard, I was speaking more about cards that you can play, put in like 1 or 2 cards that aren't standard legal and just say, look, these are not standard legal, these are a whole different set of cards, and try and put like something like a Snapcaster Mage or something like that people would want to open, and then they'll just be buying those boxes like non-stop crazy, trying to get that card as a chase kind of box stopper. But I like them adding this for no extra cost to us in boxes, and for people that do buy boxes like myself, it's something really cool to have extra, and it might incentivize people to buy more boxes, especially in the time right now where we're in with this whole coronavirus thing, where LGSs are going to be struggling when Ikoria does come out, to get people to buy those bigger ticket price items like a box. So being able to have, guarantee that you're going to get 1 of these cards, minus the Japanese, obviously, alternate art ones, is really interesting. There are actually some good cards. Like this Luminous Broodmoth, an amazing card. And I think it will be probably the most expensive card out of the whole lot. Probably Rodent as well, probably be expensive. At the moment, pre-order price, we've got Ghidorah being the most expensive, but I think you won't see that. I think you'll see more the Bio Quartz, Rodan, and Mothra being the more expensive cards of the set. Yeah, so anyways, interesting kind of selection here of cards. I think most of them are pretty cool to have, and a really nice edition, collectible edition for people. Yeah, so the only thing I just don't like is the fact that they're going into this different art type, this Godzilla type thing. I think it's not where I want my Magic cards to be. Yeah, but that's just my personal opinion. I mean, at the end of the day, it's extra stuff that we're getting, and that's pretty cool. But I think they could do a bit more with it and make it a bit more exciting. So that's it for me today for today's podcast. Thanks for listening and catching up. I know I haven't been able to post much recently. I'm still working during this coronavirus. I am an essential worker, I guess. So I still thankfully have my job. But at the same time, I'm obviously working and having less time to do these I guess podcasts and videos. But if you guys could like, share, definitely share, please. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already subscribed. It'll mean a lot to try and get this up and running. So as always, guys, everything on the stack has been resolved, and good games, everyone.